Okay, now that we have the level editor set up so that you can place mana potions into a level, we need to turn our focus back to the Evil Monkeys game. Right now, we're not set up to handle mana potions. We're not going to display them in a level, and even if we did display them in a level, the character is going to have absolutely no clue as to what they are and what to do with them. So what we need to do first is make our character or our mage aware of mana, make him kind of dependent on mana, so that if he's going to cast a fireball, he needs to have mana to do it. And when he runs out of mana, well, then he's going to need to get some mana before he can fire another fireball. And not only that, on top of that, we're going to need to modify the user interface as well. As a matter of fact, if I come in here right now and run it real quick, we're nowhere in the UI showing how much mana you have. So what I want to do is add a mana level right here and have that update exactly how much mana the character has at all times. So starting this out, the first thing I want to do is go ahead and take my mage and make him aware of mana. And to do this, let's go ahead and open up the Mage CPP file and the Mage header file. So first thing, in the Mage header, let's go ahead and modify our mage real quick. Let's do it after lives. Let's go ahead and say int mana and default it to 10 in case we don't give it a specific mana amount. Now doing that makes me think I better put a variable to contain that information in. So down here in the private section, I'm going to go ahead and add a, let's say, mana level. Sounds good. And that'll work. Now, I'm going to need two other functions, and these are going to be two other public functions. I'm going to need the ability to get the mana, so what it currently is, and I'm going to need the ability to set the mana. So, to do this, I'm just going to come in down here and add get mana, like such. And let's go ahead and do set mana. And of course, we're going to need to send an amount so that we can set. So now that we have this in place, we're pretty much done with the header. Let's go ahead and copy these two guys real quick. Now what I want to do is come over here to the Mage CPP file. Starting out right after lives here with Mage, let's go ahead and add in int mana, like such. Now that we have this mana coming in, let's go ahead and make sure we set our mana level equal to that mana, like such. Now with that in place, we can go ahead and jump all the way down to the bottom. And let's go ahead and paste in our two new functions here. And get these guys all in place. So Mage like such, and that's good, and I'm just going to come down here real quick and just put all this in as well. Okay, now what they need to do is very simple. In fact, right now I should stop talking. In fact, I'm going to get to the point where coming up here real soon I'm going to start talking less and less, because everybody that's viewing this knows exactly what I'm doing. I'm really just kind of showing you an idea of one way of implementing, you know, mana into the whole thing. So for getting mana, that means we better return something, and what are we going to return? The mana level, of course. And as for setting the mana, well, this one's a no-brainer. That means we need to say our mana level is plus equal the amount. So mana level equals mana level plus the amount. Okay, so now with all of this in place, our mage has been set up to at least understand what mana and a mana level is. So let's go ahead and compile real quick. Make sure we have no errors. No, none at all. Now, if I was to come in and run the game right now, we still see no mana level, of course. And if I come in here and say file new, oh, I'm in a bad spot. Run! Run! Yep, no running there. Let's go ahead and try again. I spawned right on top of a monkey. So come back in here again. Ooh, just about got me again. I have bad luck today. So we'll fly way over here. So my point is this. I can fire 1,000,000 fireballs. I can fire forever, forever, and forever. We need to change that. We also need to make sure we can see what our mana level currently is. So let's go ahead and jump out of the game. And that means what we're going to need to do is go ahead and jump over into the app frame and do some modifications there. So for this, let's come over here to appframe.cpp. And of course, I'm going to need the appframe.h. Can anyone guess what I'm going to need to do in appframe.h? Anyone? Okay, well, I guess I'll have to help you out a little bit then, because you can't answer me. Basically, what I'm going to need to do is just add a new wx static text. Here we go. Down in the private section, let's go ahead and we'll just copy one of our old ones so I don't have to do so much typing. Wx static text object is going to be st, we'll call it st mana level, like such. Very nice. Now let's go ahead and come over here and implement this. So in the constructor, if we scroll on down, we'll find where we created the other static texts right here, the player lives, the current level, and the number of enemies. Well, let's just copy this last one, number of enemies, and we'll come over here, and this is st mana level. And what does it need to say? Well, it needs to say mana. Let's go and put the whole thing in, mana level, like such. So we could have just left it as mana, but that'll work. All right, so everything else there is good. Now let's go ahead and add this into our box sizer. So let's come down here. So subsizer, I'm just going to copy this line right here and paste it. And instead of st not enemies, we've already done that, of course. Let's do mana level, like such. Okay, so now we're adding that into the box sizer, so that's good. And really, at this point right here, if I go ahead and compile, and then we execute this, we should see mana level over on the right-hand side of our user interface. So look at this, mana level. But when I say new, nothing's going to happen in regards to updating numbers over here because we have not yet set it up to handle any sort of input. So, and then of course I can still fire 1,000,000 fireballs, as seen there. I dare you to step up into that fireball stream. Come on, you can do it. Come on. I have 1,000,000 fireballs. Haha, I told you. Okay, so let's go ahead and close out of that. How do we update mana level? Well, this is actually quite easy. Let's jump way on down to update game. So somewhere down here, looking load game. Wait, update game. Haha. Well, let's start out by creating another wxString variable. So let's just copy this line and paste it like such. And the wxString type that we're going to make, or his name's going to be info mana level. You guys guessed it. Of course, we need to go ahead and make sure that the text is going to be mana level. That's what's going to be shown. And then we're going to do some formatting, another wxString. But what are we going to ask for? Well, we're not asking for anything out of the level. We need to talk to our player. So we need to say player, and then we need to get the mana, like such. And let's go ahead and take out all that old stuff. And there you go. So that's all in place. So now we're already using one of our new functions that we've created over in the mage.cpp file. So nice. Now, of course, what do we need to do? Well, let's come down here and set the label. And again, just to save time, a bunch of copying. So st mana level. Set the label to what? Well, it needs to be set to what we're storing in the wxString info mana level. Like such. And, wow, that's it. So if I go ahead and compile real quick, and we run in here, when I say file new, so here we come. When I say file new, this should set to whatever my mana is currently set to. And as we know, when I create a new mage character, the mana is automatically set to 10 because I have not gone anywhere into my code and modified the mana amount that we're going to have by default when the mage is first created. So it's going to use the default value of 10. So file, new, and I didn't mean to do that. So look at that, level 10. But now, next problem. I can still fire forever, and each time I fire, it does not have any effect whatsoever on the mana level. So let's go ahead and close this out and address that issue now. Where do we need to go to adjust it? Well, think about it. When we fire the fireball, that is when we should check, do we have enough mana to fire? And if we do, let's decrement the mana level so that next time around, we're going to have less mana, and at some point, we're going to finally hit 0. So let's go ahead and come back into the Mage CPP file, and this is where we handle casting a spell. So what I'm going to do is jump right down here right before we create the new fireball. And before creating the new fireball, let's just come in here and say if my mana level is. Now we can come up with a minimum amount of fires, like it's got to be at least 2 and above or something like that, but I'm just going to say if it's above 0. The idea of all of this bonus content is just to give you guys an idea of an approach to doing something like this. So let's go ahead and properly block all this in now. So just jump on over and tab all that stuff. And a few more things to tab. 2 more, like such. And we'll go ahead and close all that off. So if the mana level is greater than 0, what are we going to do? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is take my mana level and subtract. Again, I'm just going to throw an arbitrary number in there. There's other things we could do. I mean, we could make fireballs, depending on the level that you're at, cost more mana to fire. We could put in skill levels that, of course, affect how much mana is required, etc., etc. But right now, I'm just going to say 2. Again, just a basic idea, guys. So each time we fire, 2 points are going to be taken away. Believe it or not, we should now see our UI updating. And when we reach 0 or less, we're hosed. We can't fire anymore. So let's go ahead and run the game. So mana level, here we go, file, new, and run my way around. Look at that, 10 points, does it work? Here comes first. Ooh, oh, 8 points, nice. Come on, guys, you can do it. 6. So now we have another problem. I'm at 0, now let me try to fire. Run, I can't fire, I still can't. So as you can see now, it's we've pretty much been limited. But watch this. What if he kills me? I died, I came back in, I have 1 less life, but I also have no mana. I need to update it so that I have mana in place now. Like, let's go ahead and reset it back to 10, and then I'll be in good shape. So yeah, that's bad. So let's go ahead and fix that part of the game. And to do that, it's actually really easy. All we need to do is affect our add lives. So let's take a look at add lives, which generated originally inside of Sprite, then was inherited by character. So let's take a look at the character header and CPP file. So come down here and character add lives, and we're going to give it a number, of course, 1 to subtract away like a -1. And we run the sprites add lives, and then we come in here and we say, if you're still alive, if the sprite is alive, the character, we're just going to set a player start for our player in the level, and then simply do an update. So what do I need to do here? Well, I need to get this same thing. I need this to run, of course. But then after doing the set player start, then I need to go ahead and make sure that my mana level goes to 10. So if we come over here to the header file, you'll notice that add lives is virtual. We've just set it up so that we can always overload this guy. So let's go ahead. I'm going to copy to here. I'm not going to make it virtual again because I don't plan on inheriting from Mage and overloading add lives one more time. So I can simply grab this line, come over here to the Mage file, and then in here we can just simply say we're going to go ahead and throw in add lives like such. Okay, so now that's in place. Let's come over to the Mage CPP file and explain what's going to happen when add lives is called. So let's paste that into place. Let's go ahead and fix this up real quick by doing that. Mage like such, and of course we'll go ahead and block this guy in. Now, what's the first thing that we want to do? Well, we want to make sure that we're going to call the characters add lives, and we're going to pass it the num that we just received into the Mage's add lives. So now the characters add lives runs, and of course the first thing it does is calls the sprites add lives, and then works its way on down from there. So after all of that's in place, then what do we need to do? Simply come in here and say the mana level is equal to 10. Now at the very end of the game when you die, if you don't want it to be set back to 10, you may want to do a little checking right here. But this is good. This will give you guys a basic idea, so that's all I'm looking for. Let's make sure we put the terminator there just so that we don't have any horrible things happen. So with all of this in place, let's go ahead and do a quick compile. So compile. Now let's go ahead and run the game and see what happens. Let's go ahead and get my fingers on the key there. New, run, and let's find somebody we can kill real quick. So 8, looks nice. 6, now let's run out of juice. I can't fire no more. I'm sure you guys can hear my spacebar. So what's going to happen when he kills me? Let's come over here and offer ourselves up for a sacrifice. Boom, look at that. We've gone from 0 back to 10, meaning I now have enough juice to come in here and fry this little guy as soon as he moves over. So let's go ahead and do just that. And look at that. All is good, and now I've got a lot of these guys to worry about, and I'm getting a little bit more worried. So at some point I'm going to hit 0 here again, like in another shot. Now I'm at 0. I just might as well die to come back in with 10. And so here I am, back in with 10, and now I can continue to fire. So we get the idea. But at this point, we need to start looking at getting a pickup system in place and then adding mana potions in. Haha, I beat his update time, was able to run right through him. How cool is that? So let's go ahead and close this. So that's really it. Now our mage is aware of mana, and he relies on mana for firing. Now we need to move into getting some mana potions in the level so that I can continue picking up potions as I'm running around and basically continue to replenish my mana level. So with that, that's going to wrap up this lesson. Thanks a lot.